Two buyers, same budget, same goal. Get out of the city, get some space, and actually feel like life slowed down just a little bit. One of them buys in Canyon Lake with a private lake, golf cart lifestyle, gates, a community that feels like a resort that you never have to leave. The other one buys in Wildomar. Open land, rural roads, no HOA, neighbors who have horses in their backyard, and a monthly payment that's significantly lower. But both of them made the right decision. And both of them would look at the other person's house and say, there is no way I could live like that. That's what makes this comparison so interesting and honestly so misunderstood. Because most people assume one of these cities is clearly better than the other. And once we actually break this down, I think most of you are going to realize you already knew which one you are. You just needed someone to confirm it. And here's the thing. The category where these two cities are probably the most different is not the one that you're actually expecting. So stay with me because it actually changes how you might actually approach this decision. So, hey guys, I'm Andrew Lewis. I'm a local realtor here in the Temecula Valley, and on this channel, we talk about what it's really like living here. Let's get into it. Battle of the cities, Canyon Lake versus Wildomar. All right, let's start with the money because no matter how beautiful a place looks on a YouTube video, it still has to make sense in your budget. When it comes to Canyon Lake, you're typically looking at homes in the high 700s to low 800,000 price point on average. Let's call it roughly $810,000 to $830,000, depending on where the home sits within the community and whether it has water access and what upgrades are in there. On the water, like the lakefront stuff, you're going to be well over $1 million. And for Wildomar, when we're talking about home prices, you are sitting much closer to the mid to low 600,000s right now, depending on the property and the land. You can absolutely still find homes there in the 590 to 640 range, and you are getting significantly more land for that money in most cases. So we're talking roughly a $180,000 to $200,000 difference in average price. That's not a rounding error. That is the completely different monthly payment between the two cities. That is actually like just a down payment for a home. And that's the difference between stretching into a purchase and feeling comfortable in it. Now here's the context that matters when it comes to this topic. Canyon Lake pricing includes what I call the lifestyle premium. You are paying for a private lake, you are paying for the gates, you're paying for the golf course, the clubhouse, the amenities, the community events, the HOA maintained environment, all of it. That is baked into the price of every single home inside of Canyon Lake. Wildomar pricing reflects something totally different. You are paying for land, you're paying for space, you're paying for privacy, and you're paying for that rural Southern California lifestyle that most of the valley has already built over and bulldozed out of here. Wildomar has largely been left alone, partly by choice, and that keeps the prices honest. So, for affordability, and if affordability and getting more land for your money is the priority, Wildomar wins this category pretty clearly. But the next topic is where it gets a little more complicated. Now let's talk about lifestyle, because the price gap almost doesn't matter if you buy in the wrong city. Canyon Lake is one of the most unusual places to live in all of Southern California, and honestly, most people who haven't been inside the gates have no idea what it actually feels like. It is a gated city. Not a gated neighborhood, a fully gated city. You show your ID at the gate, guests are verified, and once you're inside, it's your own world entirely. Private lake, boating, wakeboarding, paddleboarding, fishing, private beaches, an 18-hole golf course, clubhouse with events running almost year-round, holiday boat parades, a 4th of July on the water, and yes, full golf cart culture. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that people drive their golf carts to dinner, to their neighbors' houses, to community events. It is a lifestyle, and the people who live there are completely bought in on it. If you move to Canyon Lake hoping for quiet and peaceful lake views from your back patio, you might be a little surprised. It is active, it is social, it is a scene, a vibe, as the kids would say these days. The right buyer absolutely loves it. The wrong buyer feels like they accidentally moved into a permanent summer camp. And trust me, I've met with some sellers who lived there and said those exact words to me. Wildomar, though, is the polar opposite. And the residents there will tell you that is exactly the point. Wildomar has been one of the most deliberate, slow growth cities in this valley for years. The residents don't want a Lowe's on every corner. They don't want a new Target and Chick-fil-A. They want open land, rural roads, space between themselves and their neighbors, and a Southern California lifestyle that doesn't feel like everything else here in the area. You are going to see horse properties. You're going to see large lots. You're going to see people who moved here specifically because they didn't want to live on top of each other. The lifestyle in Wildomar is build your own. There's no built-in community hub like Canyon Lake. You are creating your own life there rather than plugging into an existing one. So really the honest framing here for you guys, Canyon Lake is like curated living. Wildomar is like freedom living. And which of those words resonates with you right now tells you a lot about which city you actually belong in. For pure lifestyle experience and built-in community, Canyon Lake, in my opinion, wins this category, but this is not a category where winning means everyone should absolutely go there. And now I want to spend a quick minute on the next one because it is the category where the two cities are actually more similar than you'd expect, and most buyers never even think about it. Let's talk about safety because, again, this one matters to just about everyone making a relocation decision. Canyon Lake has a structural advantage that is hard to argue with: the gates. Entry points are controlled, every guest is verified, there is an internal community patrol. That alone eliminates a significant portion of opportunistic crime that you would see in open suburban areas. Random drive-through traffic simply does not exist inside of Canyon Lake. The city functions as a controlled environment, and that is reflected in some of the lowest crime numbers you will find anywhere here in the valley. Now, Wildomar, it's not gated. It is patrolled by the Riverside County Sheriff, who, by the way, does a really solid job out there, but it is an open, accessible city. Now, here is where I want to be clear about this. Wildomar is not unsafe. It is a rural, low-density community, and that actually works in its favor. Fewer people, more space, a community where people largely know their neighbors. The crime numbers there are actually pretty solid as well. The Temecula Valley as a whole is one of the safer corners of Southern California statistically. Year after year, many reports reveal that, and both of these cities are a reflection of that as well. But if controlled access is specifically what you're after, Canyon Lake wins. They win this category by a significant margin. The gates are not just a lifestyle, they are a genuine built-in security feature. All right, let's move on to traffic. Welcome to Southern California. Canyon Lake is gated, and that gate is also the thing that can drive you absolutely crazy if you live there. There are a limited number of entry and exit points, as you would expect. During peak hours, getting in and out of the community can back up. You're not checking in and out like a hotel, as guests will do in a certain lane, but you are sitting at lights right outside those gates, and it can add to time to your commute that you weren't expecting previously. Once you're out, you still need to drive to the 15 freeway or 215 freeway, which puts you running through Wildomar or Menifee, and eventually, into Murrieta, Temecula traffic once you're heading north or south on the 15 freeway. Wildomar has the 15 freeway running right through it. No gates to deal with. You've got more open side streets, less traffic on the local roads because fewer people live there, and less commercial development means fewer reasons to drive around. And honestly, driving through Wildomar at most times of the day just feels like there's nobody on the road. That low density lifestyle pays dividends in your daily commute around town. The catch for both, if you're commuting south to San Diego, you're both eventually dealing with the same freeway traffic once you hit Murrieta and Temecula, so that part is even. But for the day-to-day getting around, Wildomar does have the edge here. No gate frustration, open roads, you've got direct freeway access, so Wildomar takes the win here for traffic. Now here's something most buyers comparing these two cities overlook completely, and it actually changes how you should think about the schools conversation. So let's move on to schools. When it comes to schools, here is the thing that surprises most people. Both Canyon Lake and Wildomar are served by the Lake Elsinore Unified School District. Canyon Lake feeds directly into Lake Elsinore Unified, and Wildomar also pulls primarily from Lake Elsinore Unified. So in terms of school district, you are not making a dramatically different choice between the two cities on that front. Now, Lake Elsinore Unified is not Temecula Unified or Murrieta Valley Unified School District, which are consistently among the highest rated school districts in all of Southern California. If you have kids and top tier ranked schools are a hard requirement for your move, both of these cities are going to push you toward looking elsewhere in the valley, if I'm just speaking honestly. So Temecula and Murrieta are where the school ratings shine when we're looking at greatschools.org. That's our grading system that we use for everything. That said, there are individual schools within the Lake Elsinore Unified School District that perform pretty well. And for both Canyon Lake and Wildomar, I always encourage our buyers to go check out greatschools.org. Look at the specific school your address would feed into. There's a feature there. You can just plug that address in and make your call based on that. Generalizing the whole district doesn't give you the full picture. So the honest bottom line for schools, this one is essentially a tie. Neither city wins here, and if schools are your top priority, this comparison might ultimately point toward Murrieta or Temecula instead, and that's a pretty fair outcome. Now, real quick, this reminds me of a quick story I had. I had a couple reach out to us last year who were coming from North San Diego County, so not too far away. They had done some of their research, they knew they wanted to leave, and they had narrowed it down to Canyon Lake and heard a little bit about Wildomar. They were pretty convinced Canyon Lake was the answer because the lake lifestyle just sounded incredible on paper and through our videos here. They called me, we jumped into a Zoom call, and I asked them one question. Do you actually use amenities when you have access to them? And they looked at each other and they both kind of laughed, and she said, honestly, we live 5 minutes from the beach, or we have lived there for 6 years, and we go maybe twice a year. So we talked through it a little bit more. They didn't need the golf cart lifestyle. They didn't care about the community events. What they actually wanted was just a bigger lot, more privacy, room for their dogs to run around, and to stop feeling like their neighborhood was like, their neighbors were like right on top of each other. So they ended up buying in Wildomar about a 2,400 square foot home, almost a half acre, way below what they had budgeted for Canyon Lake. And the last time I talked to them, they were pretty excited to wake up every morning and feel like they're, on a permanent vacation on their own design, basically the land that they built themselves. That's the version of the story that doesn't get told enough, and sometimes the right answer is the one that costs less because the amenities you're paying for in the alternative aren't the ones that you actually use. Now, if you're sitting here trying to figure out whether Canyon Lake or Wildomar actually makes sense for you in your situation specifically, your budget, your commute, your family setup, your lifestyle, reach out. You can call me, you can text, you can send an email, you can also schedule a Zoom call with buyer. We do that with buyers all the time who haven't even started their search yet. You can click on the link in the description below. Free conversation. And honestly, it saves people a ton of time, sometimes a lot of money, and occasionally a pretty significant mistake is avoided through some of those conversations. So please feel free to reach out. People do it all the time. I'd love to hear from you. Now, let's move on and talk about what I call future upside, because I think this one actually matters more than most people actually give it credit for. Canyon Lake is established, fully built out. There are gates there, the lake is there, the amenities are mature and in place. What you see is what you get. There are like a few vacant lots you could build a house on, but they're not the premium lots that everybody else already took up, right? That's part of the appeal though, is that it's fully built out for a certain type of buyer. You are buying stability and a finished lifestyle. Values inside of Canyon Lake are tied directly to the lifestyle premium that I mentioned earlier. And as long as that lake community identity holds up, which it has for decades, those values tend to hold too. Wildomar, however, is a different story. The city is still figuring out what it wants to be, and right now residents are largely calling that shot in a deliberate direction. The infrastructure is not fully built out, commercial development is still limited, schools are still growing, but here is what history tells us about areas like this. Growth corridors in Southern California tend to reward early buyers. That's not a guarantee. Obviously, I can't predict the future, but buying in a city that still has runway means you are potentially in front of appreciation rather than behind it. If your mindset is stability and lifestyle today, then Canyon Lake is the answer. If your mindset is to own something with room to run, Wildomar is worth a serious look. And so for that, I'm gonna give the win here to Wildomar. All right, let's land this plane here. Canyon Lake wins on lifestyle. Canyon Lake wins for safety and offers stability and a genuinely unique living experience that nothing else in this entire valley or really Southern California can replicate. It is the right home for buyers who want to plug into something built and finished and social. Wildomar wins for affordability, wins for traffic, and offers something that is increasingly rare in Southern California: land, space, privacy, and a rural feel at a price that actually makes financial sense. For buyers who want to build their own version of a slow and open life, Wildomar quietly might be the one of the best deals left in this valley. Neither one is the wrong choice. They are just built for two very different personalities. The buyer who thrives in Canyon Lake knows it immediately when you drive through the gates for the first time, and I see it on my buyer's eyes all of the time. The buyer who thrives in Wildomar knows it when they pull down a long driveway and realize they can't see a single neighbor's house. Both of those are good days, and if you want to dig into other comparisons around the valley, how Wildomar stacks up against Temecula, how Canyon Lake compares to other lifestyle communities, what the difference in schools actually look like when you go street by street, we've got videos like that on this channel. Worth a look if you're still kind of in that research phase. And if you are getting close to making a move or even just starting to seriously run the numbers, shoot me a call, shoot me a text, send an email, or schedule a Zoom call directly from the link in the description below. I work with buyers relocating here every single week, and I know this valley well enough to tell you honestly which one fits your life and which one doesn't. That's what this channel is for and is what my team does every single day. And if you'd like to schedule a tour just to come out and put some boots on the ground and see what it's actually like living here day to day, we can schedule that for you as well. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.